Entitled boyfriend leaves stepdaughter homeless, Carless, and adrift. I call my stepdaughter's entitled boyfriend Wreck-It Ralph, no relation to the trademark cartoon, just coincidental naming. He has a tendency to break, ruin, tear up everything he touches. My stepdaughter, who is actually a sweet and endearing young woman whom I love dearly, has, like many young women with self-esteem issues, allowed herself to be led astray by Wreck-It Ralph. In the year they've been together, she's lost everything, but at 23 she is old enough to learn her lessons without us parents coming to her rescue until she gets rid of Wreck-It Ralph and back on track. When they first got together, they lived with her dad and myself for a few months. It very quickly became apparent Wreck-It Ralph had a chip on his shoulder when it came to me. He would carry tales to my husband, causing us to argue. Despite my husband telling Wreck-It Ralph many times that was my house and everything in it was mine, Wreck-It Ralph would keep asking my husband, not me, if he could have this or that, and that's if he asked. He kept getting more and more animals despite our telling him no more. Neither were taking care of the ones they had. They weren't buying dog or cat food or cat litter, my husband and I were. They weren't picking up the messes, and they weren't training them, allowing them to tear up our belongings. Mary Jane is legal in our state, and there is a dispensary in our town, and the only work these two would do is door delivery. Her job with a daily payout, just to get enough money for Wreck-It Ralph to make a purchase at the dispensary every day, along with eating at fast food restaurant. Wreck-It Ralph's chip on his shoulder when it came to me was such that they brought my husband a soda one night, walking in the back door right past me, calling out loudly, "We got you your favorite soft drink," to my husband in the living room with zero inclusion to me. Another example is my stepdaughter asking if she could use my debit card to go get the four of us drinks at a local convenience store one hot day. My husband and I were unloading stuff from the truck and trailer in the backyard, which was no problem. However, when checking my account, they spent $20 on food for Wreck-It Ralph without asking. The end came when I told them they had to replace the bedroom door their dog chewed the bottom out of, and refused to allow the pit bull mix they wanted to rescue even though it had a bite history to enter my home. They moved to my stepdaughter's mother's home at that point. During their time there, my stepdaughter kept getting tickets in her car, which is only registered to my husband. They weren't paying their insurance, which I had bought my stepdaughter her own policy, and paid the startup out of my money when they lived with us, and didn't pay the plate renewal. Now her license is suspended, and it cost my husband and I $600 to get the plates, again in his name only, unsuspended. Plus they had damaged the car and it needed repairs, so he took it from them before her license was suspended. But after the police took the plates from her car, my husband let her use his truck, which was on my insurance policy. Wreck-It Ralph drove it, and he has no license, and blew the motor in it. It is now sitting and can't be used. I told my husband I would put the car on my insurance for him, but only if he drove it. If he returned it to them, I was canceling the insurance, which I've stood by. Nevertheless, Wreck-It Ralph called daily demanding my husband return the car to them once it was legal and fixed. After 3 weeks, my husband finally said, "Look, you dumb, but I don't know what it is that you think you're trying to accomplish here, but you're not demanding anything from me and you're not getting the car back. I may have originally bought it for her before she got with you, but it is my car in my name and I'm keeping it in lieu of the truck you ruined. Don't call me again about the car." Got it. We had been hearing of ongoing disputes between my husband's ex and Wreck-It Ralph. Things got so bad there that Wreck-It Ralph told my husband's ex-wife to pack her shit and get the F out of her own home. Another time he told her to shut the F up and remember who she's talking to. So we all decided it was time to let our daughter hit rock bottom, since she wasn't seeing how Wreck-It Ralph had taken her from being a sweet, lovable, well-liked and responsible girl in a college nursing program to this person with a criminal history and no prospects at the moment. My husband's ex-wife moved in with her boyfriend, turning the power off at the home she had been renting, and told her former landlord, whom she was actually longtime friends with, she wouldn't allow it to affect their friendship if he evicted them for squatting, since neither were on her lease to begin with. When my stepdaughter called wanting to come back, my husband told her she could, but Wreck-It Ralph could not. Now they are staying at a homeless shelter in the town where Wreck-It Ralph's mom stays, and Wreck-It Ralph's mom won't let them stay with her either. We hate to see her go through this, but this entitled Wreck-It Ralph she won't let go of has really brought her down, and she can do so much better. This guy actually told us once he couldn't work at a factory that he interviewed it because it was climate controlled and his heart condition won't allow that. Then argued with me and my husband that climate controlled meant controlled by the climate, so it was hot in summer and cold in winter. We haven't seen him hold a job or do anything useful and productive since they've been together, just a man from and use the people who love the girl he's become a cling on to. Update. Well, we are making progress anyway. My stepdaughter recently had court in town 30 miles west of us. They are staying just across the state line in a small city 30 miles east of us. So my husband and I devised a plan to get her a loan from him. We said the only car running was the 2-seat convertible, and could only take her for her court appearance. My husband picked her up, then I took her to her court appearance as my husband had to be at the house for something. On the way, she started talking about how she wanted to break up with Wreck-It Ralph, but was afraid of the hurt that comes with it. She hated how controlling and untruthful he was but felt he truly loved her, and didn't know if the negative behavior was simply from their stressful circumstances. She said once he got SR22 insurance and his license back he would be able to work and things would be better. I pulled out my phone, and went to the court file website for the county north of us where Wreck-It Ralph used to live. I pulled up 6 cases in his name, 3 to do with driving with multiple citations in each. The most recent, he was speeding, ran a stop sign, hit a woman, fled the scene, had a suspended license and registration and had obviously no insurance. He was arrested later and had to post bond. That case he had $4,000 in fines, plus we had received a letter at our house from the state stating he owed $11,000 in restitution to the woman for damages and that his license was permanently suspended until the restitution. Any related court-imposed fines and state-imposed reinstatement fee was paid along with proof of SR22 within 48 hours of release of suspension by the state. My husband accidentally opened it, it arrived in a stack of other mail and he didn't look at addressee. She was deflated and angry, stating they'd talked at length and he never told her any of that, only that he needed SR22 because he got caught driving without insurance and had to have it before he could get his license back. As someone who used to have my own insurance sales license, I told her no, you can't get insurance if your license is suspended or revoked, at least not in our state. He would have to get his license valid then get insurance for mandated SR22 reporting. She herself ended up on probation for her driving issues related to him with a 6-month suspension and $750 in fines. Lucky break from judge in all honesty. She too will have to have SR22 once her suspension is over. Afterwards, while I stopped at the store to get stuff for supper, Wreck-It Ralph kept calling and demanding she come back. Despite plans to have supper with her that evening, she ultimately gave in to the relentless calls and asked her dad to take her back before I could cook. I did verify that yes, she has an IUD for those that inquired. She was very unhappy with her situation and beginning to see him for what he is and how in the year they've been together he's brought her down. However, she's not quite at the leaving him point, but hopefully with any luck she'll be calling to come home soon. She knows she has a place here with us, but he doesn't. From the comments, for the rest of the planet, what's an SR22 insurance? An SR22 is a certificate of financial responsibility required for some drivers by their state or court order. An SR22 is not an actual type of insurance, but a form filed with your state. This form serves as proof your auto insurance policy meets the minimum liability coverage required by state law. I had to look it up since I had no clue either as an American. Sounded like it'd be some type of lulz. I too thought sounds like an assault R, but from the context figured it wasn't. Okay, so, additional red tape and I guess cost for those who are special when it comes to repeated traffic offenses. OP. Yes, it's definitely more expensive as the risk to the insurer is higher given the very nature of the insured. Also, SR22 can be obtained on driver, not just a vehicle, meaning you would have liability in any vehicle you drive, so not having a vehicle is not an excuse to carry mandated court-ordered vehicle insurance. It's usually just liability. Rarely have I seen SR22 be more, but the insurance company reports routinely to your state on your insurance coverage, like a mandated reporter situation. From the comments, despite everything you told her, she still isn't at the leaving him point. Genuinely curious, what would he have to do for her to be at the leaving him point? OP, I don't know. The fact she is considering it is a move in the right direction, and we are being supportive without giving any money or enabling the situation in any capacity. The fact she now has a misdemeanor from driving as a result of his actions really weighed on her. I told her, without mentioning him, it wasn't the end of the world but that it was meant to be a learning point and she should reflect upon how and why she got it as well as how to move forward from here. She was receptive.